Welcome to our June Keeping It Simple sew-along. In today's tutorial, we'll be creating a festive Christmas table center decoration for your Christmas and July celebrations. This charming decoration features 4 triangle blocks. We'll be focusing on the Christmas tree block and the construction of the table center. We'll be using a backing and turning through technique to bring this project to life. We highly recommend you follow the photograph written instructions in conjunction with this video tutorial. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Let's begin with the tree block. Hoop up cutaway stabilizer and load the design onto your embroidery machine. Grab your trusty applique scissors for trimming the batting and fabric. Place batting 1 on top of the hoop and stitch it down neatly. Remove the hoop from your machine and trim the batting, leaving about 1 to 2 millimeters from the stitching. Now, let's stitch the place and line for background 1. Position fabric A right side up on the hoop, covering the place and line, and stitch it down carefully. Now remove the hoop and trim the fabric, leaving about 1 to 2 millimeters in the seams. Make sure to keep the excess fabric within the seams. Then stitch the place and line for background 2. Then place fabric B on top of the hoop wrong side up and let about 1/4 inch of fabric B cross over the place and line, with the excess pointing towards the center of the hoop. Now stitch it down, fold it over, and stitch it again. Trim the excess fabric, keeping it within the seams. Then repeat the flip and fold process for background 3 using fabric C. Now it's time to add some quilting. Embroider the quilting design onto the block. Next, let's create the star center. Repeat the applique process using fabric D. Embroider the satin stitch around the star. Moving on to the border. Repeat the applique process using fabric E. Then embroider the satin stitch along that border. Now, let's add the tree elements. Repeat the applique process for the tree bottom, middle, and top, using fabrics F, G, and H respectively. Trim each piece as needed. Embroider the 3 presents and the ribbons onto the tree. Finally, embroider the 3 layers to complete the tree. Don't forget to add the star on top of the tree for a festive touch. Once the embroidery is done, remove the block from the hoop and trim the seams to about 1/2 inch. Set it aside until all your blocks are made. That concludes the first part of our Kiss Sew-Along tutorial for the Christmas table center decoration. Stay tuned for the next part where we'll continue with the construction process. Joining the blocks. Let's move on to the exciting process of joining the blocks together to create a stunning table center decoration. Start by laying out your blocks on a flat surface. To begin joining the blocks, take the first 2 blocks and place them right sides together. This means the front sides of the fabric should be facing each other. Pin the blocks together along the side seam to secure them in place. Now, using your sewing machine, stitch the side seam, ensuring to stitch just inside the border that's already stitched on the blocks. This way, the stitching won't be visible on the right side later. Once stitched, carefully press the seam open using an iron or pressing tool to achieve a smooth finish. Now, let's progress to joining the rows together. Take the 2 rows and place them together, ensuring that the right side of the blocks are matching up with each other. Pin the rows together along the side seam to hold them in place. Similar to before, stitch the side seam on your sewing machine, stitching just inside the border that's already stitched on the blocks. This will maintain the clean appearance on the right side of the table center. Once again, press the seam open to create a neat and professional look. Cutting the backing. Before we proceed, let's ensure that we have the appropriate backing size for our table center. Measure the length and width of your table center and confirm that your pieces of fabric E backing are large enough to cover it. Now place the 2 pieces of fabric E right sides together on your table. Pin them together along one edge, leaving a 5-inch gap for turning through later. And then stitch them together using a 1/2-inch seam allowance. And be sure to leave a 5-inch, 13cm gap in the middle of the seam. This gap will serve as an opening to turn the table center right side out later. After stitching, press the seam open to achieve a smooth and flat result. Now, take your sewn table center and position it on top of the fabric E backing, ensuring that the right sides are facing each other. Lightly pin them together to keep them aligned. At this point, you can choose to match the shape of the front panel by cutting out the backing material, but this step is optional. Once you're satisfied with the positioning, stitch a 1/2 inch 12.5mm seam just inside the border stitching to secure the backing in place. This will create a clean and professional finish for the back of your table center. To give the edges a tidy look, trim them to about 1/4 inch, 6mm, and clip the curves. Trimming the excess fabric and clipping the curves will allow the table center to lay flat and prevent any bunching or folding of the fabric. After trimming, it's time to turn the table center right side out through the opening in the backing seam. You can gently push the fabric through using the pointy end of a chopstick or utilize a helpful tool like that pink thing to carefully run along the seams on the inside. This step will ensure the seams lay flat and the table center looks crisp and well constructed. With the table center turned right side out, it's time to give it a final press. Use an iron on a suitable setting to press the table center firmly, removing any wrinkles or creases. Pay attention to the edges and corners to ensure they are well defined and sharp. To close the back opening, you have a couple options. You can either hand stitch it closed using a needle and thread, or use fabric glue for a quicker alternative. Now consider using a technique called stitch in the ditch. This is where you stitch along the existing seams on the front side of the table center. This helps reinforce the table center and also adds a decorative touch. Now, take a moment to admire your beautifully joined and finished table center. You've put in the effort and creativity to create a stunning Christmas-themed centerpiece for your festive celebrations. Place it proudly on your table and enjoy the delightful atmosphere it brings to your Christmas in July gathering. Thank you so much for joining me in this Keeping It Simple sew-along tutorial. I hope you found the process enjoyable and learnt new techniques along the way. Stay tuned for more exciting projects and tutorials in the Keeping It Simple series. Happy sewing and Merry Christmas in July. Please like and subscribe and shop at sweetpea.com.